I went to the factory and I stood outside and I saw Sir Tom Hunter walk into the factory.
Mm.
So I basically hid behind his car for about 2 hours or so. And when Sir Tom Hunter came out the factory, I sort of pitched my business idea to him in the car park. He was a little bit flustered. Maybe he thought I was going to rob him or something. I don't know. But he's a fantastic guy, and for people that don't know who Sir Tom Hunter is, he's Scotland's first self-made billionaire. So
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Meet the Owner, where we're all about making an impact through entrepreneurship. Today, I'm here with Kieran Aitken. Welcome, Kieran.
hello,
Yeah,
good to be here.
Yes, thank you very, very much for coming on, Kieran. Kieran has done so much, even at a very young age. Kieran has been Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2017 for the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2018 for the FSB. Amongst many other things, Kieran started 4 businesses, successful businesses. So I'm really, really excited to get into this one and find out a bit more about Kieran. So Kieran, we'll just go straight into it. So if you just tell me a bit about when did business come into your life? When was the first time you started getting interested in business, would you say?
So I guess my first sort of entrepreneurial incline would have been when I was 13, 14. I would sell anything legal in the playground, so sweets or chocolate bars or whatever. There's actually a copy of a map up here. I'll show you in a little second, but I can't remember what year it was in. But the first year students, or the year 12 or year 11 students, I think it is from you. I don't know. The young students, when they first went into high school, they would all get lost in the building. So when I was an older student, I would make up a map of the school and then sell it to the first year students. And I would go to all the businesses, the shops and the cafes nearby and sell advertising space on the back of it. And off the back of that, eventually made a few £100. So, it's always sort of been in the blood. Then at age 14, I began reading business books. I read a lot of business books. Best one I've ever read would probably be Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, which I've got a copy of here. It's a little bit broken just now, as I've read this a lot. But I read that book when I was 14. It was life-changing. And then when I was 16, I launched a CarViolent business. I started it off with £150, chap on people's door and charge them £25 per month to valet the car. Started off very small and it grew bigger. We had little mini franchises and things like that, people working for us. And by the time I was 17, 18, we were making quite a lot of money. And then we went on to do Orbit and the other businesses that I'm involved with.
Yeah, brilliant, amazing. Because you've done so much. You've done so much in such a short amount of time. And was your family quite entrepreneurial as well? Where did you could that have come from them?
Not really, no. I mean, I've never really I don't think I had. There's been no one in my family that have had a business, sort of working class values, I guess. No, there's been no one in my family that have had a business. Initially, when I said when I was like 13, 14 that I wanted to go into business, most of my family were quite wary of it. It was something that was seen as an unknown. It wasn't really something that people knew much about, or it just wasn't part of it. Just didn't really fit into their value system, I guess. So yeah, I sort of got my inspiration elsewhere, but that's not to say my family weren't supportive, of course, because after I did launch the business, the family, said, okay, that's what he's going to do, and they were very supportive, of course. But yeah.
Okay, so have you ever had a job?
I had one part-time job at one point when I was 16. I think it was in Arnold Clark, a car motor company, and I was in there for about a year or so. Year or two, and then I've only ever had a part-time job. It was a Saturday job. Only if I worked on Saturdays when I was at school. So I've never really had a proper full-time job. Never had a proper part-time job. I was only doing a few hours a week. So yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but, but yeah.
Yeah, but so what's your view on jobs? Did you ever want one, or was it just that your life just went the way it went, and so therefore you were just involved in business up until now, or what was that? Was it something that you made a decision about and said, no, I don't want to get a job at all? Or
I don't really know. I think, business since the age of 14 or 13 or 14, I was lucky in that I always knew I was going to be in business. Like,
mm,
without a doubt, that was what I was going to do with my life. I
mm,
was fortunate. I was fortunate that way that I found my purpose. So having a job full time was something I never really. Maybe I could see myself doing it for a year or two or a few years, but it was never
mm,
really something that I could see myself doing
mm,
over the long term. But that's not to discredit going out and getting a job, because I think today, in today's culture, if you go on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, everyone's talking about entrepreneurship, and
mm,
we can't all be in entrepreneurship.
mm,
We can all have side hustles and things like that, but there's absolutely no nothing wrong with having a job.
mm,
Nor is there anything wrong with entrepreneurship, I guess. I just chose entrepreneurship because it suited me. It was it was what I wanted to do, and I think I made the right choice. Obviously, it's been tough at times, but
mm.
we're getting there.
Because you seemed to find what you wanted to do quite early on in life. Could you just elaborate a bit on that? Like, how did that happen for you? Because a lot of people, you find some people even in their 30s, they're still not sure really what they want to do with their lives. I mean, what would you say about
This, uh, if I'm being honest, I was lucky. It came through adversity and through no other option to do. I don't want to be a sob story to get the violins out and we all feel sorry for each other. I've spoken about this in a few other speeches that I've done. Um, but when I was 14, I had an overdose. I taken too many tablets, right? Um, and I was in hospital. And as I came out, it was that sort of boom. That life is not, even though you're 14, it could end at any point. It's a very
that?
scary experience. And when I came out of the hospital and I went back into life, I guess,
Mm,
there was one day I was sitting in the back of a car going down to England, and I thought, right, that's been a terrible experience. I've survived it and I'm okay. But how, how do I, where's my life going? Blah, blah, blah. And out the blue, out the sky, honestly, I just thought I want to be an entrepreneur. Now, I thought that was a very strange experience because I had never really knew anything about entrepreneurship beforehand.
mm,
I'd never known any entrepreneurs, not a single entrepreneur I had known, not a single
mm,
business owner I had known. I had no interest in it before. And all of a sudden, in the back of this car, driving down to England, the idea just came to me.
yeah.
I think J.K. Rowling described something similar when she came up with the idea for Harry Potter. She was on the train between Manchester and London, and it just came from nowhere. The idea of Harry Potter, she could see it all in her eyes, and she was so excited about it.
Mm,
That is, I could describe it as being the exact same sort of experience. And I
mm,
think if I didn't have that negative experience of being in hospital, it wouldn't have given me the spur
mm.
to find out what I wanted to do with my life. Because I find adversity can be a very positive experience if you have the right attitude to it.
Amazing. So you know that you want to become an entrepreneur now. So what were some of the first steps you took? What are some of the things you did after that?
I went into the bookshop and I bought a few books. I brought quite a few here, but there was the first book that I bought was How to Start a Business for Dummies,
Mm.
which is sort of ironic. And then the second book was Duncan Bannatyne, his autobiography. He was a former Dragons Den
Mm.
star. So I read his book and that was very good. And I just kept reading books. Um, by the time I was sort of 15, I was reading Michael Porter's competitive strategy and a lot, the Financial Times and a lot of other sort of more advanced university level books and doing like on courses and all this other stuff. So by the time I was 16, I was ready to go. I felt
Mm.
like I had a full education at that age. So that's where I started by reading books, and then I just took the plunge and I went into business.
Okay. And so what gave you the confidence to be able to almost say, because obviously you know you want to become an entrepreneur, you've read all of these books. So what gave you the confidence to then actually go out and take action? Because I find that one of the biggest things as well is that there's a lot of people who have this deep desire to be an entrepreneur, but they just can't seem to take the steps or take the action to become one. So for you, what was it that gave you that confidence?
hmm I think back then that the desire was so intense that I just had to. But I know that your viewers, some people, might not have that same level, and it's not a fault, it's not a character fault by any means. Everyone's different. One thing that I would recommend is perhaps start going slowly if you want to make change. There's a guy called BJ Fogg, PhD, who studies behaviour change, and I found his work fascinating. He wrote this book here called, I know I read a lot, by the way, but he wrote this book called Tiny Habits, and I would highly recommend everyone reads it. Basically, what he says is that if you want to do something big, you start off tiny. So if you want to run a marathon, start off by every night at 7 o'clock. Just put on your shoes. Don't run outside. Just put on your shoes, take them off again, and go about your day. And you're building the mental muscle. So if you're going into business, it should be maybe send one email or do something very small. You'll start to build the confidence up that way. You start to build the habits up that way, and it'll just be a snowball. You build momentum. I probably don't give this guy credit by describing it, because I'm sure he can describe it much better than what I can. But if you're in a rut and you're wanting into entrepreneurship, but you don't quite know what to do next, perhaps reading that book would be a good start.
Yeah, because I've actually read another book. I don't know if you've read it, by James Clear. It's called
Atomic
Habits. Yeah. For me, that was something that really sparked that. There we go. You got other books, man. So obviously reading seems to be like something that happens a lot in your life. How much would you say reading has had an impact on your success in business?
I think success comes from actually applying, what it says, what the books and what the content says. There's no point in reading for reading's sake, as some people make the mistake of doing. It definitely has contributed. I take the theories that they talk about and I put them into practice. But if I was just reading for reading's sake, I don't really know what value it would bring. But it has had an impact. There has been things that I've read that I've applied in practice, and I've taken the concepts and I've actually used them. So if you I think even if you're not a reader, there's still ways of getting information, whether it be Audible, linked list, which sort of summarizes books into like a couple of pages, whatever. And there are brilliant ways of getting the knowledge as well. Also, online courses are something that I would recommend. I still do online courses every night. Read books every night and every morning. It's important that you're always stacking up. And we're in the knowledge economy now, and knowledge is the key. So yeah.
It's amazing. And obviously one thing that you seem to do very well is you seem to put yourself in certain positions, or you put yourself in a place where you get to meet people that help you excel. And obviously I'm going to ask you to tell the story again, but if you can just tell us a bit about the John Hunter story, how that came about.
So Tom Hunter, yeah.
Sorry.
Don't his name. Back in 2015, I was still in high school at this point, and I was in a factory in Glasgow, and I overheard a phone call that the receptionist was on the phone to Sir Tom Hunter's PA, and I learned that Sir Tom Hunter was going to visit this factory 2 days after I was there, on the 20th of May 2015 at 12 o'clock. I remember it exactly. And so 2 days later, I took a day off school. I went to the factory, and I stood outside, and I saw Sir Tom Hunter walk into the factory. So I basically hid behind his car for about 2 hours or so. And when Sir Tom Hunter came out the factory, I sort of pitched my business idea to him in the car park. He was a little bit flustered. Maybe he thought I was going to rob him or something. I don't know. But he's a fantastic guy. And for people that don't know who Sir Tom Hunter is, he's Scotland's first self-made billionaire. So the first Scottish person to become a billionaire. And he's now in an act of giving away £1 billion to philanthropic purposes, charities, social enterprises, etc. And he's been a fantastic guy. He's given us some financial help. He's given us contacts to major banks and to other organisations. But it's just the idea of, and also mentoring. He's given us a lot of advice and and things like that. But it's just the principle of having this. It's having met and been around a hero. And got a bit of help. There's something about people like of his caliber where when he's in his circle of presence, it uplifts everyone. Sort of magical spell that these people have around them. Captivating. So.
Cool. So what advice would you give people about, let's say, if they want to, because obviously you've gone on and met other people, I'm sure, who are very influential. What advice would you give to people about, let's say, if they want to meet people that they aspire to be like and that sort of thing? How would they go about it?
It depends on the person, I guess, or on the person you want to meet with. But some people just are focused on business and that's it, really. I would say have something of value that you can offer. I would also say don't be cocky or arrogant. I find some people mistake that they have to come across as if they're something special in order to get a meeting with them. And yes, you do have to have something, but people can suss people out quickly. And if you're walking in with arrogance or ego, it's very easy to see, and it's just a turn off. I don't think anyone likes arrogance these days, and rightly so. So don't do that. Be genuine. Email, phone, send letters, and just being sincere about it. Yeah, I mean, I would also have a short list, and also make sure people you're meeting with, you can actually maybe add value to them, and maybe you can get value from them. I guess maybe the sort of general principles of it. I gave a speech. There's a few other things that I've done in the past. I gave a speech it's on YouTube and search for it. I titled it "How to Meet a Millionaire," and I sort of give ideas of how people can meet millionaires. I gave a speech 2-3 years ago. And one of the principles of it, or one of the techniques of it, sorry, is that if you have someone's email address, so let's say you want to get in contact with the guy that runs Barclays, or the woman that runs Barclays, I don't know who it is, you could say, what's the end of the email? Is it at barclays.com or barclays.plc. whatever it is?
Yeah.
And then you change the name, so you change the first part. So if the first part is if Chiko was, if you were the man in charge of Barclays, I would say, okay, I know that he's in charge, so let me just put Chiko at Barclays, or Chiko, one or dot second name at Barclays, and do it that way, So that's a technique as well that I've used in the past, but yeah, there are a few sort of hints, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. And so if you were starting, because obviously you've started a few very successful businesses, if you were starting a business today, what would be the first thing you would do?
I would make sure I've got a customer. So the first and most important thing is to have someone that's actually willing to pay for what you're doing. So I would make sure to have a customer. I would have a product or service, and then I would tailor it to meet the customer's needs. It's important to understand, why are they buying it? Are they buying it for status, or are they buying it for the practical utility of using product or service? And then I would change the product or service to meet the customer's needs based on the feedback that they give. I would also have a clear goal in mind, and a clear idea of what sort of business you want to run. So you don't have a part-time business, you don't have a full-time business, you don't have something to sell. And there's one of my old mentors back when I was starting out. He said to me that business is like playing golf. So you want to get the ball in the hole in as few shots as possible. The problem with a lot of entrepreneurs is they don't know what the hole is. They just swing the golf club around everywhere, just hitting the ball everywhere. Your goal as an entrepreneur is to get to the goal as quickly and as simply as possible. So that's a good analogy that might be helpful. So have a clear vision of where you want to go. The method of how you get there could change, of course, but a clear vision of where you want to go. Have a customer, listen to the customer, and adopt and adapt your product or service to meet the customer's needs. Don't go too fast, and also don't go too slow either. And get a few mentors around you, go out networking, meet some people. These are all things that I wouldn't say go out networking. You can't do that in today's climate of the pandemic, but go on Zoom and meet people. These are the sort of things that are very useful. And also keep developing yourself, networking and online courses and public speaking training, and a million and one things you can do to have an edge.
Okay. And obviously at the moment, obviously like you said earlier, there's a lot of people that are trying to get into entrepreneurship, and obviously money is normally a big motivator. So for you, how big a motivator has money been in, your entrepreneurial journey?
Actually, I don't really see it as a major motivator.
Mm,
Um, reason being, the more and more you get something, the less and less you value it. So
mm,
back when I was 16, 17, the CarViolent business was lucrative back then. But there's a sort of diminishing return. So it's been shown in wealthy societies where it's uneven. The more and more wealth that one acquires doesn't have a massive impact on their happiness, overall satisfaction, quality of life, etc. And actually, it probably causes a lot more problems for them, because if you have money or success or whatever, you become envied, which is not something that people want to be.
mm,
It sounds like a good thing, but I wouldn't. And also, people, you become a target, so people can come after you. So it probably adds a lot of stress to life, albeit it takes a lot of stresses out. Money isn't a major thing. The thing is for me is enjoying what I'm doing, having a sense of purpose in life, um, and seeing an idea go from nothing into something. I think if you people are motivated by different things. If you're purely motivated by money, you probably would make some, but whether that'll bring you satisfaction, I don't know.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously you talk about having a sense of purpose. What would you, and obviously you've kind of already described it, but like just more clearly, what would you say gives you a sense of purpose?
Entrepreneurship in general. I mean, I love doing business. I
Mm,
love meeting people, and wouldn't really want to be doing anything else,
mm,
Um, so yeah, I think just that the process gives purpose. So yeah, that's something. Also with Orbit and the work that we do at Orbit, you see people's lives being changed, and that's an incredible thing. Um, with Dripdrab, you see small business owners, being able to spend more time with family, spend more time watching football or getting drunk or whatever they want to do. I don't know, but they have more time. Um, so yeah, I get I get a sense of satisfaction from seeing other people get where they want, I guess. But yeah,
yeah.
um, you have to find that's something I would say that I would, if you haven't found, as Steve Jobs once said, that if you haven't found a purpose, keep searching, and don't settle until you do find it. Just if as I said back with the overdose, you find out pretty quickly that you might not make it,
Mm,
and human life can be very short.
mm,
Um, and it's important to give it a purpose. And people say, "What's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of life?" The meaning is what you make it, in my opinion. So it's what you find to devote your time to.
mm.
Yeah,
Okay. And obviously you've mentioned Orbit. If you just tell us a bit about what Orbit is and what you do at Orbit.
yeah. So Orbit was founded in 2015. It's basically a business incubator program for students aged between 16 to 18. In a nutshell, we take school students and we help them to launch businesses. The real businesses are paying tax, doing insurance, making money. Some kids have made over £100,000.
Wow.
So we've been doing this for about 5 years now. We're hoping to do a franchise model, which will see us go abroad, which would be good. Um, and through mentoring, through workshops, through online courses, guest speakers, a combination of all these things, we've helped over 500 kids or so to launch businesses. So
Oh wow.
mhm.
And what are so is there any stories that stand out from Orbit that you could
Yeah, there's one person in the program just now. It's pretty inspiring. It's called Hannah, and she's based on one of our Scotland programs, and doing she's cerebral palsy, I think the illness is that she's got, and she's an incredible inspiration. She's doing a business called Community to help other people with cerebral palsy, through an online website, and online magazine. It's a fantastic idea. She's raised money for it, and she's doing well. There's been other ones like we've got a CarViolent business that was launched 3, 4 years ago, which is still going just now. He's doing Devlin, he's doing well. Angus is doing AI for Vodafone. There's a million and one examples. I would recommend people go to our website and just see some of the case studies of some of the kids that are coming through. I say kids, some of the teenagers that are coming through. Because they're inspirational.
Okay. And your business, JibJab, what kind of businesses can benefit from JibJab?
Yeah, so Dripdrab I launched this year. A quick synopsis would be, if any of you have a window cleaner, window cleaners today go around and they spend hours chapping on doors and collecting cash payments from customers. So they chap on the door in the peeing rain, and they'll peeing's a sort of Scottish term, but in the pouring rain they'll take cash payments. And what we said is, okay, window cleaners, come to us, give us a list of your customers, we'll send them out letters, and the customers will start paying by card, and it will save you having to walk around every night for hours, chapping on doors and collecting cash payments. I launched that this year, and it's got a lot of high potential. The margins are small, but the volume is high. So I'm excited about that business, and that's a pure profit making venture, I guess. It's not a social enterprise, but it's still benefiting a lot of small business people who, instead of collecting money in the pouring rain or the freezing cold in the UK, of course, they can be at home with family or doing whatever else they do.
Okay. And how did you come about that business idea?
The CarViolent business, so a lot of our payments are paid by cash, and we would have to have boys going around chapping on doors collecting cash payments. It was a nightmare. You chap on a door at night time, people are scared to open the door. When they do open the door, they don't have any cash on them. Everyone pays by card, and it just didn't work out. So yeah, we've moved on to the whole as a society. We're moving on to contactless payments or card payments, cashless payments. So yeah, it's that's something that's pretty promising, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Okay, and this is a question that actually, before I get to that question, what do you think, because obviously you work with entrepreneurs, especially younger entrepreneurs, and you're an entrepreneur yourself, do you think entrepreneurs are born, or are they made entrepreneurs? Do you think it's just something that they're born with, or?
I think there's a combination of both. I mean, your Sir Richard Branson, he's obviously a born entrepreneur. It seems that way from afar. But a lot of entrepreneurs are made, and some entrepreneurs start off in a later life, maybe 50s or 60s or so. One of our backers for Orbit is a former vice president of a large multinational company. He's been doing that for a long time, and very successful career. But at a later stage in life, he decided to start his own business, and it's doing very well. So it could be born or bred, I guess. There's no, definitive, this is how it's done. I guess it's both. And every entrepreneur is different. Not every entrepreneur is the energetic, excited, passionate speaker, visionary. Some are very technical and they like to know the details. And sometimes in many businesses, they're much more valuable than the crazy folk that jump around and get too excited. But I think there's a combination of I need a combination of both in a team, mind you. I think you have to have people that can sell things and be energetic. You also have to have people that can do the numbers. I mean, I'm more of the sort of jumpy and ideas person, but my finance director, for example, he's not. I should have been saying that. He's just a former banker, so he doesn't mess around. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so obviously there's a part of it that you learn. So what would you say would be the best, and consider obviously you've got Orbit and that sort of thing, what would you say is the best way to learn or sharpen your skills as an entrepreneur?
There's a few methods in the evening times or at the weekends. Do online courses, read books, gather knowledge. Go to training courses. Like I go to Toastmasters, which is the sort of public speaking training. Everyone stands up and practices public speaking. Very good. These things can help build skills. Actually do it. Obviously, like actually run a business. You build experience, which is better than any other form of training. Is by actually doing it. Build networks, and people can give you advice and give you insight. Get a board of advisors, get mentors. Also, do a training that exercises yourself. One of the things that we do at Orbit that works out pretty well is I've, the program managers have a wallet with phone numbers in them, and the kids will pick out a phone number
Mm.
and phone it, and they don't know who they don't know who they're going to be calling. It's just a
Mm.
random phone number, and it could be a small business, it could be a cinema chain, it could be a bingo hall, it could be anyone. And the idea is that they would stay on the line with that other person for as long as possible before they hang up on them. So
Mm.
that's what, if you're afraid of making sales calls,
Mm.
don't do that. Just pick up a random phone number on Google,
Mm.
call it, and just make conversation about a random topic about the weather or something. It sounds a little bit ridiculous, but it's by doing that sort of stuff that you overcome the fear of sales calls, which is quite trivial in nature. Speaking to people, aren't you?
Okay. And final question. Obviously, we always talk about how Meet the Owner, we're all about making an impact through entrepreneurship. So, what impact would you say you're trying to make?
We're not trying to, with Orbit, we're not trying to have a conveyor belt of entrepreneurs, as a Tom Hunter would say.
Mm.
What we're trying to do is to inspire entrepreneurs and also to show some kids that they don't have to go the university route, because I think in today's world it's all school, university, job, retire,
Mm.
and that's your sort of life planned out. You don't actually have to do that. You can take life into your own hands. So we're trying to build that sort of entrepreneurial mindset in people. We don't want to have every school kid do entrepreneurship classes, because we don't want every single person in the world to be an entrepreneur. That would just be
Mm.
pandemonium.
Mm.
But we do want to have a decent amount of high quality entrepreneurs. That's another word, quality. Like if you're starting out young, you can learn over a longer time period of your life, and also you can get a head start.
Mm.
So by seeing high potential young people and giving them all the skills and the knowledge that they need to be a success as an entrepreneur at a young age, they can do that. It's almost like football, for example. If you see Barcelona, I don't know if you're a football man, Chiko. Are you a football man? Are you?
Not really.
Not really. I'll use this analogy anyway, and
Yeah,
anyone
yeah.
that's any of your followers that are. So if you see the youth teams in Barcelona,
Mm.
who produce Leo Messi and all these other quality players, to start out at a very young age,
Mm.
and they develop and they work with the very best at that age, and then by the time that they're adults, they're incredible, they're world class. Same
Mm.
idea with entrepreneurs. That's what we want to do. Where we have them
Mm.
start out very young, but by the time they leave, they're way ahead of a lot of other people.
Yeah, and that's incredible. And would you say that your personal impact that you're trying to make, would you say that's the same, or is it slightly different?
It's slightly different, I guess. I mean, my whole ethos isn't just to make an impact on entrepreneurs. It's about taking entrepreneurial. It's about solving societal problems through business.
Mm.
So that's what social enterprise is all about.
Mm.
So it could be, I don't know what to go on to next. I could go on to addiction or mental health, or you know,
Mm.
homelessness or veterans, or whatever, and take a social enterprise business model and try and solve those problems,
Mm.
with a sort of business ethos, I guess.
Mm.
So yeah, that's what social enterprise is all about, and just enjoy doing it, I guess.
Amazing. Now, Kieran, obviously I'm aware of time. Thank you very much for coming on, and hopefully we can have you on again sometime soon. But thank you very much for your time,
It's been a
and
pleasure. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
thank you. And just even just before we leave, I just wanted to say, just to acknowledge you as well for all that you do for society, for at Orbit, for these children, the inspiration that you are. It does truly make a difference to many people's lives, to myself, to many other people that are watching you. So yeah, I'll just encourage you to definitely keep going. You are making a huge difference, and also so people can see that.
I appreciate that, Chito. That's very kind of you. It's me that gets the benefit. I enjoy doing it. So, and all the people that we have at Orbit, all the mentors, that they're all fantastic people. That go out of their way to really help people. There's a lot. If you read the news, you would assume that the world is a bad place, but when you actually, when you're involved with some of the work that we're doing, and some of the work that you're doing as well with Meet the Owner, you actually realise that the majority of people are out for noble purposes. So
Yeah.
yeah, Thank
Yeah,
you for that.
exactly. And also finally, how can people support you in like the impact you're trying to make at the moment? What can people do to support you?
With Orbit, I mean, I guess if anyone wants to run their own Orbit program, they can do that. They can get they get paid for it, but they get a chapter. So it's almost like having a mini franchise where you run your own Orbit program at night times. You do it in your own time. It fits perfectly around having a job. Just contact me on LinkedIn because we're about to launch that. So if you want to run your own Orbit program, that could be something that should help out. And if not, just follow Orbit on social media, follow myself on LinkedIn, and you can reach out with whatever else you need. And yeah.
Yeah, and what are your handles on social media?
So Orbit is at Orbit Incubator on Twitter and Instagram. We haven't posted in a little while. There's a reason for that, but we're going to be posting a lot more content again soon. But we are still active, so don't be afraid to follow us. So at Orbit Incubator, that's ORBITINCUBATOR. Almost embarrassed myself there. And it's Kieran Aitken on LinkedIn. Just connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can get me on Instagram or Twitter and that as well.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Kieran.
Thank you, Chiko.
Thank you for watching this video. We want to keep bringing you this inspirational and educational content from amazing entrepreneurs. If you like what we're doing, please support us by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Thank you so much once again, and we'll see you on the next one.